Welcome to another edition of Tabletop Game of the Week. This week I'm really excited to review a game that came highly recommended to me by our director, my boss, Diane Yee. It's a little game called Sagrada, which is really original. I've never played a game like it, so I really appreciated that. Just to get a few of the box basics out of the way, this is a game for 1 to 4 players, so you can actually play this game by yourself with a couple of friends. Takes about 30 to 45 minutes to play. That certainly was my experience last night. Played a couple of games. Its ages, I would put its ages probably somewhere around 10 and above. I feel that's pretty good. Some of the rules, while a little bit easy to understand, when we get to scoring, it gets a little trickier on that one. But go buy it from your local game store. It's about $30 or so. And again, it's just super unique. Super unique game, which is why I'm really excited to kind of tell you all about it. First of all, the game checks all of my boxes for a fun game. It's dice-based. It's replayable. It's strategic. You can play it solo or in a group. It's super original, and that game time, again, about 30 to 45 minutes. So that kind of fits with my style of what I'm looking for in a game. So let's show you some stuff in the box here and kind of what it's all about. Right there on the front of the box, down there, it does say a game of dice drafting and window crafting, which is pretty neat. But long and short, there's a whole bunch of different colored little dice. And then you're going to take turns rolling those, taking one of those die from this pool of dice, and then you're going to get your game board out, which looks like this, and you're going to put the dice onto this game board, following some rules and some limitations of where you can place those dice on your game board. 2 bonus parts to this game. 1, you get 90 little tiny 6-sided dice that are all sorts of different colors and things like that. So it's the bonus here is you can play last week's game review 5 die with this game, because there you go. You got 5d6s. You can refer back to last week's die to figure out how to play that little, what we call like a pub game. Very simple game. But you get a whole bunch of dice, so that's really neat. Second benefit of this game is I learned a new word. I had to go learn the word orthogonal and how that relates to positioning. There's just a quick little thing on here when you're placing the dice. You can't have 2 dice placed next to each other that have the same color or the same number, and they just call that orthogonal placement. So you can have one that's the same color or the same die in this diagonal one, if your first one was here, but you can't place a similar value or color orthogonally, which means at these right angles. So you couldn't have a blue one here and a blue one here. You could have a blue one here and a green one here, and you could have a blue one here and a blue one here at the diagonal. So I got to learn a new word, orthogonal and orthogonally, which was pretty fun. The rules I found pretty intuitive. I don't know, they're not that bad. It's just kind of this one page here. So playing the game, pretty simple, makes a lot of sense. Where we had a bit of pause and kind of had to reread through the rule book was once we got to scoring. Scoring is a little bit more involved, a lot of remedial math here, but there's a couple things that you have to tally up, some things subtract from your score, and things of that nature. But really like the design of this game. I really like how beautiful it is. I like the concept, how original it is. We get these little cards here. These are going to slide into your game board down here to give you some of the objectives of where you can place these dice when you draft them. So that's where some of that strategy comes in. You get really pretty playing cards here. These are like private objectives, things that only you get to do at the end of the game when it comes time to score. There's these other tool cards that you can use to activate to do some special things inside of the game. And then you get these public objective cards. So at the end of the game when you're scoring, you refer back to these little public objectives and private objective cards. And that's how you're going to get your point total. So as I mentioned, gameplay, pretty easy, pretty understandable. Once we get down to scoring, things got just a little bit more complicated. And we definitely kind of had to reread through the rules on that one. But highly recommend this game. Of course, you can get it, all your online retailers and all that. But as I mentioned every week, we are still very much in this pandemic. Local businesses are still very much hurting for business and revenue generation. So go support your local game stores here around town. That's going to include things like the Wizard's Chest, Mutiny Info Cafe, things of that nature. But I'm sure whatever neighborhood you are in, you're going to have a local game store that, at least if they don't carry it, you can ask them to get it, and then they will order it, and then you can buy it through them. Support their company that way too. Anyway, it's Sagrada. It's a dice-based game where you get to make really cool designs. Comes out looking like a stained glass window. Again, pretty unique, pretty fun. Price point's good. Ticks all my boxes again. Highly recommend it. Give this one a 10 out of 10, and big thanks out to my boss Diane for suggesting that I review it. I will be purchasing this for myself, absolutely. This was her copy, so thanks for letting me borrow that as well. Next week, I think I'm going to invite some colleagues of mine to see if they want to do some game reviews of their favorite games. If they accept that invitation to do this, that would be great. You won't see my face next week, you'll see theirs. But for one reason or another, if they're not available, we will catch you right here next week for the next game that I review. Have good weeks!